Monstrous Feminism, the Classical Scylla. Our modern idea of monsters often centers on a mysterious origin story with a bloody climax, in which the monster is born into our world and begins its reign of terror over popular imagination. This may have once been the case for Scylla. Unfortunately, time has worked to effectively destroy her original story. The most extensive pre-classical description of Scylla comes from Homer's description of the monster in his epic poem, The Odyssey. Odysseus, the main protagonist, is described as having to navigate the treacherous straits of Messina, which are the lair of Scylla. The strait is said to be occupied on one side by the six-headed Scylla and by the whirlpool-creating Charybdis on the other. Homer describes Scylla as a fantastical beast. She has 6 heads, 12 feet, and is described as having the voice of a puppy. Whether this description of the Strait of Messina and Scylla originated from Homer or if the poet borrowed it from an even older source is unknown, but this cohabitation of Scylla with Charybdis would survive into the Middle Ages, eventually evolving into our modern colloquialism between Scylla and Charybdis. Portraying a monster. The oldest extant image universally identified as Scylla is a Malayan clay relief dating from around 460 BCE. This depiction of Scylla differs sharply from the literary description provided by Homer. Scylla here is depicted as a maiden wearing a thin, revealing tunic from the waist up. From the waist down we see a sinuous fishtail, and at her waist, where the two sides merge, we see several dogs' heads emerging. Marianne Hauptmann observes that Scylla was actually one of the last Greek monsters to be associated with a pictorial type, suggesting that she presented a problem to classical artists. The pictorial type seen here will become the model for depictions of Scylla during the 5th and 4th centuries BCE and onwards into the Hellenistic period. Her curving tail, topped with spiked ventral fin, is reminiscent of depictions of mermen from around the same period. Similar curves and a ventral fin are seen in the mermen on the neck of the so-called Northampton crater from 540 BCE. Depictions of mermen in Greek art are recorded as early as the 7th century, but starting in the 6th century we begin to see mermen impersonating the sea adversaries of Heracles, such as Nereus, seen on the left. In both depictions, we see similarities with the Malian Scylla, namely a similarly curved tail with ventral spiky fins. These similarities have led several scholars to declare Scylla the first female merman. At this point in time, mermen were almost exclusively depicted as dangerous sea-dwelling entities, as emphasized by their association with the enemies of Heracles. This visual association with mermen serves to put a feminine twist on an already nefarious sea creature in the case of Scylla. Scylla's sex is also emphasized, surprisingly, in the dogs that sprout from her waist. The association of women with dogs was widespread in archaic and classical Greek traditions. Aside from the vulgar slurs similar to colloquial speech today, dog metaphors throughout Homeric epic tradition most often applied to lustful women. The aspect of otherness is a cornerstone of the monster construct. The monster is often frightening as a result of its difference from a perceived norm. In this case, Scylla diverts from the mythological norm of male mermen and effectively asserts herself as one of the first female mermaids, and a dangerous one at that. The dogs emerge from her waist in the same area her female genitals would be. This serves to heighten the sense of horror femina by replacing the object of male lust with a metaphor for female lust that is at once enigmatic and threatening in form. In this way, Scylla emerges as a sexual other. No longer is the danger of the sea restricted to Oceanus, Triton, and Poseidon. The ever-present dangers of the sea have now taken on a female quality. A novel idea considering the only other female water deities in Greek mythology were the wives of the male sea gods or demigod nymphs such as Nereids. Scylla as a huntress. The disparate feature of Scylla's sexuality evolved slightly during the 5th century from the outwardly threatening monster of the Malian relief to the cunning huntress and protector of the western cities of Magna Graecia. In 413 BCE, after a decisive victory by Syracuse against the Athenian navy, images of Scylla begin appearing on the coinage of several Greek cities around the Strait of Messina. Syracuse issued a commemorative mint of its victory in 412 BCE, which features a small cameo of Scylla beneath an image of a chariot pulled by 4 horses. Scylla here has been interpreted as holding a trident in her right hand as she reaches towards a fish with her left. This would have associated her with the act of fishing. Regardless of the condition of this particular coin, a coin from the nearby city of Cumae depicts Scylla holding a fish as well. The concepts of hunting and fishing were similar in nature and connotation to ancient Greeks. The ancient Greek word for fishing, in fact, literally means hunting for aquatic animals. The concept of fishing was also alluded in Homer's Odyssey as well as connected to Scylla. Homer says that each of Scylla's 6 heads was used to pluck one sailor from Odysseus' ship in a manner that he compares to fishing. Scylla's increased prevalence on coins of Magna Graecia following several decisive military victories shows that she is being appropriated as the protectress of the lands around her strait. One scholar describes her fishing aspect on coinage as the guardian hunting intruding fish out of the water. Just as Cumae had expelled the Etruscans in 476, Syracuse defeated the Athenians in 413, and Acragas defeated the Carthaginians in 406. The perseverance of Scylla's dog motif into the end of the 5th century also served to link her to the hunt and to protection, as domesticated dogs were very commonly used for hunting and of course for home protection. A coin from Acragas, dating from around 400 BCE, displays a prominent Scylla in a dynamic motion similar to the aggressive stance of the Malian Scylla. She runs beneath a large crab, the symbol of the city of Acragas. Here, Scylla's dog motif is accentuated with the addition of 2 dogs prominently facing in both directions, whereas most coins only featured one for the sake of space. Her dynamic appearance and aggressive stance are explained by the image on the obverse. 2 eagles are perched atop the image of a dead hare. This image introduces the theme of the hunt into the coin, which was continued on the reverse with the image of a lively and ready to attack Scylla. Scylla stands ready to hunt any invaders on the sea in the same way the large eagles, possibly referencing the city's armies, have hunted the hare on land. The huntress Scylla serves to more clearly characterize the Scylla of myth as a dangerous adversary. She has moved beyond the quietly threatening mermaid of Melian relief and has evolved to a more active and aggressive predator. A female with the traits of a dog and a fish, Scylla inverts the traditional notion of the hunt and injects it with sexual undertones. In the traditional hunt, Scylla's animal characteristics and her literary persona as an enemy of Odysseus means that she is the animal. In the heterosexual erotic hunt between courting partners, she is the woman. Yet she has taken on the role of consistent predator, thus subverting the traditional relation between hunter and prey, both literally and metaphorically. Cohen says, the woman who oversteps the boundaries of her gender roles risks becoming a Scylla. That is, she risks becoming the monstrous personification of disruption of the natural order. Scylla the huntress threatens traditional gender roles and seems to cheat the food chain. As a protective charm and a social construct, Scylla is at once an animal capable of hunting man and a woman capable of pursuing him, and thus threatens to destabilize the foundations of a gender-distinctive society.